So my neighbor tried to get me arrested over a lie. Not a small lie, but this wild, elaborate, completely fabricated story. She called the police, and for a solid few minutes, I was genuinely terrified. I was picturing myself in handcuffs, trying to explain that my only crime that night was rewatching a comfort show for the 10th time. But what this neighbor, let's call her Karen, because what else would we call her, didn't count on was that I had the one thing that could not only prove my innocence, but expose her as a manipulative liar to the entire building. Her little plan was about to backfire spectacularly, and trust me, the fallout was way better than anything on TV. Before we get to the fireworks, you need a little context. I moved into this apartment building about a year ago. It's a great place, quiet, clean, and filled with what I thought were normal, respectful people. I keep to myself, I work from home, and my idea of a wild night is staying up past 10 p.m. to finish a book. I am about as non-confrontational as a person can get. And then there was Karen. From the day I moved in, she just had this vibe. You know the type. She's one of those people who watches the world from behind her blinds, a self-appointed hallway monitor who lives for tiny infractions. My first real introduction to her unique brand of crazy was about a week after I moved in. I found a folded piece of paper slipped under my door. It wasn't a welcome to the neighborhood note. It was a typed, passive-aggressive complaint that my welcome mat, a totally normal, inoffensive mat that said welcome, was, and I quote, in violation of the communal space aesthetic. There is no communal space aesthetic. She just decided my mat was personally offensive. I really should have seen it as the giant, waving red flag it was. Instead, I just brought the mat inside and figured, well, that was a weird one-off. Oh, how naive I was. That welcome mat thing was just the appetizer. The main course of her craziness was served over the next several months. See, with neighbors like Karen, it's never just one thing. It's a pattern of escalating behavior that slowly makes you feel like you're the one going insane. It started with noise complaints. One Saturday evening, around 8 p.m., I was watching a movie. I live alone, I don't have a huge surround sound system, and I'm super conscious of my volume. But suddenly, I hear this aggressive thump, thump, thump on the shared wall. It was so loud it made me jump. I paused the movie, turned the volume down even lower, and waited. Silence. The next morning, another note on my door. This one was longer, citing a non-existent, quiet hours policy and accusing me of hosting a disruptive gathering. A disruptive gathering of one. Me, then, a few days later, came the trash can incident. We have shared bins outside. I went to take my recycling out and saw her standing there, arms crossed, just staring at me. She watched me put my flattened cardboard boxes into the bin and then said, with a voice dripping in accusation, "That's the recycling bin, not the general waste bin." I just stared back at her and said, "Yes, this is cardboard. It's recycling." She looked at me like I was speaking another language, huffed, and marched back inside. The next day, I got an email from our landlord, a forward of a complaint from Karen, accusing me of improper waste disposal and creating a sanitation hazard. My landlord basically told her it sounded like I was recycling correctly, but the fact she escalated it at all was a huge sign her mission was just to create problems for me. You'd think that would be it, right? Nope. The final straw was the package paranoia. I was walking back to my apartment one afternoon and saw a delivery driver leave a package for another resident. As I walked past their door, Karen literally swung her own door open, stuck her head out, and snapped, "You just leave that alone. I saw you looking at it." I was so stunned I didn't even know what to say. I just mumbled, "I live here," and hurried into my apartment. She was building this whole narrative in her head that I was some kind of menace to the building. My simple existence was a problem for her, and that attitude was the foundation for what she did next. So that brings us to the night Karen tried to get me arrested. It was a Tuesday. I'd had a long day of work, ate dinner, and was curled up on my couch, reading. My apartment was dead silent. Around 9:30 p.m., there's a knock on my door, and it wasn't a friendly knock. It was firm, loud, and official. My heart immediately started pounding. I looked through the peephole and saw 2 police officers. My mind was just racing. Did something happen in the building? Is there an emergency? I opened the door, and the officers had these grim expressions. One of them said, "Ma'am, we've received a report of a serious domestic disturbance at this address." I was so confused I could barely form words. A what here? "Yes, ma'am," the other officer said, looking right past me into my silent, empty apartment. The report mentioned a violent altercation. Loud screaming, shouting, sounds of things being thrown and broken. The caller was concerned for someone's safety. And in that instant, I knew it was Karen. She had finally graduated from passive-aggressive notes to calling the cops. I felt this insane mix of terror and pure, white-hot anger. The thought of someone making up such a dangerous lie, a lie that could get me hurt or wrongly arrested, was just sickening. "Officers," I said, my voice shaking a little, "I live alone. I have been by myself all evening, reading a book. There has been no noise, no argument, nothing." They gave each other a look. It was that, "We have to take this seriously, but we've heard this story before look." One of them asked, "Is there anyone else who could have been in your apartment earlier?" "No," I said firmly. "No one?" Across the hall, I could see Karen's blinds twitching. She was watching her little drama unfold. And that's when it hit me, my secret weapon. After that whole package paranoia incident, I'd felt so uneasy that I bought a cheap security camera. I put it on a bookshelf inside my apartment, pointed right at my front door, just for my own peace of mind. It recorded both video and audio. I took a deep breath. This was it. The tables were about to turn. "Actually, officers," I said, feeling a sudden wave of confidence. "I can prove it. I have a security camera inside my apartment that's been recording all evening. Would you like to see the footage from the last few hours?" The change in the officers' demeanor was instant. Their faces went from skeptical to very interested. "Yes, ma'am," one said. "We would." I invited them in, pulled up the camera's app on my phone, and scrolled back through the timeline. And there it was, footage of me coming home hours earlier, followed by nothing, just hours of perfect, uninterrupted silence. You could hear the faint hum of my fridge, and that was it. No shouting, no screaming, no breaking glass. I turned the phone around and showed them. They watched the silent playback for a solid minute. One of them let out this heavy, frustrated sigh. "Okay, ma'am, we are very sorry to have bothered you." He then turned to his partner and said, "I'm going to go have a word with the complainant." Oh, it was glorious. He walked across the hall and knocked on Karen's door. She opened it with this fake, concerned look plastered on her face, which immediately vanished when she saw the cop's expression. I couldn't hear every word, but I heard the important ones. I heard him say, "Ma'am, we have confirmed that your report was completely unfounded." I heard him mention the very serious consequences of filing a false police report and wasting police resources. Her voice got all high and squeaky as she tried to defend herself, but he was not having it. The best part? By now, other neighbors had started peeking out of their doors, but they weren't seeing me being questioned. They were seeing Karen, the self-appointed hallway monitor, getting sternly lectured by a police officer on her own doorstep. The public humiliation was a work of art. She finally gave up and slammed her door. The officer came back, apologized to me one last time, and they left. The sweet, blissful silence that followed was amazing. The next day, I sent a polite, factual email to my landlord, complete with the police report number, explaining exactly what happened. I wasn't just tattling. I was creating a paper trail in case she ever tried anything again. My landlord was horrified and immediately sent her a formal warning letter, mentioning that any further harassment could be grounds for eviction. Karen now avoids me like the plague. If we pass in the hall, she's suddenly fascinated by the floor. The notes have stopped. The fake complaints have vanished. Her grand plan to make my life miserable backfired and only ended up outing her as the real problem in the building. So that's the story of how my neighbor's insane plan to get me arrested blew up in her face. all thanks to a $30 security camera. It really proves that sometimes the best defense is a little bit of hard evidence. Have you ever had a crazy neighbor story? I know I can't be the only one. Drop your stories in the comments below because I definitely want to read them. And if you enjoyed watching Karen get her long overdue comeuppance, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. If you love stories where karma hits hard, smash like, subscribe, and stick around because around here, revenge is just getting started.